I am not a victim of the world I see. You are not a victim of the world you see. What's good, fam? We made it to lesson 31 of A Course in Miracles, and this is just another great day to be alive. We're going to read this lesson together, like usual, apply it together, and discuss it, and we're going to understand why we are not a victim of the world we see. Now, before we begin, let's just go ahead and activate that word. Let's understand what victim means. The definition is someone who was harmed, injured, or negatively affected by the actions or behaviors or circumstances created by another person, event, or force. So basically, it implies something has happened to them. They did not choose or cause it, and they experience a loss or injury or suffering because of it. And that is exactly what we are not. Me and you, and nobody for that matter, are victims of the world that we see, although sometimes we may believe that we are. Now, from the course's perspective, a victim is anyone who believes that something outside of them has power over their inner state. And that's what most of us have grown up to believe our whole lives, is that we believe the outside has cause over our inner state in both good and bad terms. This bad situation happened to me, and that's why I feel bad. Or this good situation happened to me, that's why I feel good. So you could consider it that kind of being an observer. And that is what we don't want to be. Most people, and including ourselves at some point in times, are just observers. So we're kind of being given anything that the world is throwing at us, and we're observing it, and we are having an emotional response to what we observe. So if something good happens to you, you feel good, and if something bad happens to you, then you feel bad. But the only issue with that, if we could call it an issue, is that whenever you're asleep and you're observing the world and what it's throwing your way, is that whenever you are observing good things, you thrive. But whenever you are observing things that um you believe to be bad or wrong or whatever the case may be, then you feel that emotion as well. And that's why most people believe that they're victims, because they believe that the stuff outside of them is kind of just bombarding them, and it's causing them to feel the way that they feel. And that is not how we intended to create. Before we stepped in these bodies, we knew that we had powerful thoughts. We were creators. We were genius creators, and we still are, but we forgot that we were. And we intended to offer deliberate thought and see the equivalence of that thought happen outside of us. We knew that all thought creates form on some level, and every thought we had to offer is what is creating what's happening outside of us that we see. Not so much creating what's happening outside of us, although it is, but more importantly, our perspective of what's happening outside. Me and you are co creators. Every single one of us in this world are actively co creating what's happening next. The newest technological improvements, the trends, the whatever that's being created is happening as a result of every single one of us co-creating together. And that's good to know, because whenever you know that, you can start being a creator like you knew, and you still know you are. Me and you are creators. And what happens when you're an observer and when you believe you're a victim of this world is you're not really creating so much, but you're just kind of observing what's out there and kind of taking in what's being given to you. And that is not how we intended. What we intended was something bad happens, I feel good. Something good happens, I feel good. And you don't need those situations to feel good, because feeling good is who you are. You are good. You are light. And whenever you're not feeling that way, then something has gone wrong, and it's always us. It is always us. Our internal state is 100% our control. And whenever we forget that and we believe that something out there is causing us to feel some type of way, then we have just given away all our power, and there's really no reason for that. So let's just keep that in mind today as we read lesson 31. Now, if you got the book, you already know what's up. Pull up to lesson 31. If you don't got the book yet, then the description has the PDF. Go ahead and open that up and let's read this together. Lesson 31 of A Course in Miracles. I am not the victim of the world I see. Today's idea is the introduction to your declaration of release. Again, the idea should be applied to both the world you see without and the world you see within. In applying the idea, we will use a form of practice which will be used more and more, with changes as indicated. Generally speaking, the form includes two aspects: one in which you apply the idea on a more sustained basis, and the other consisting of frequent applications of the idea throughout the day. Two longer periods of practice with the idea for today are needed, one in the morning and one at night. 3 to 5 minutes for each of these are recommended. During that time, look about you slowly while repeating the idea 2 or 3 times. Then, close your eyes and apply the same idea to your inner world. You will escape from both together, for the inner is the cause of the outer. That's a good bar to highlight right there. We will escape from both, for the inner is the cause of the outer. Now, before we continue, what we're going to do, and we're going to apply it together right now, is we're going to look about us and we're going to say, I am not a victim of the world I see. And then look around you and see what's happening around you. You could go look on social media and watch the news while saying this, and it looks chaotic and it may appear otherwise, but you are not a victim of the world you see, and neither am I, and neither is anybody, although we may believe that. And because we believe that, we perceive all the evidence that will prove that to us. So after you're done looking around you and you have repeated the statement a few times, I am not a victim of the world I see, go ahead and close your eyes and repeat, I am not a victim of the world I see. And just close your eyes for a little bit and take a look at your inner world and see all of those fears that may be occupying your mind, all of those things that you feel you need to do today or tomorrow, or whatever may be causing you stress. That is part of your internal world. Then understand that you are neither a victim of your internal world as well. And that's why that bar that we just highlighted is so important. It states, for the inner is the cause of the outer. And what me and you have been learning for the past month now, and will continue to learn for the next couple 100 days, is that the inner is what causes the outer. And because me and you are removing all the junk that exists within us, it doesn't really exist there, but because we think it's there, it is there because of our powerful tool right here that we have and we are untrained to use. But long story short, the inner is what we are changing, and the outer will simultaneously change as well. So it's not really too much you have to worry about out there. It's more so what's happening internally and in your mind that you have to purify in order for what you see out there to go ahead and reflect that back to you. And that's just an easy way about going about things. It's so easy, it's so simple, and I know me personally have been doing it wrong my whole life. I've been trying to take action to change what's happening out there in order to see something more pleasing. I was an observer, so I was just observing something that was bad, and it was making me feel bad. It was making me feel worried, doubt, fear, and I was trying to change what's happening out there to change my internal state. But I have did that long enough to understand and come to the conclusion that that is just not going to work, and I am not going to decide to spend the rest of my life in this body doing that. I'm going to take the easy way out, and what that is changing my internal state, so that way everything else is a reflection of that, and it really works. And I promise you it does. If you've seen evidence of that in your life, congratulations. And if not just yet, trust me, I have seen it for you, and I know that whenever you change your internal state and you start to make those changes, it becomes easier and easier and easier, and you'll see everything out there beginning to reflect that. And a good analogy of this that we're discussing right now is if you go in the mirror, okay? you go stand in the mirror and you're looking at yourself and you're unhappy with what you see, don't you agree that it would just be so pointless to break the mirror thinking that you did something you really didn't, because the mirror is just reflecting back to you who you are. So because I'm unhappy with my appearance and I go to the mirror and I just start punching that thing and I break it and it's cracked and shattered, I'm going to turn the other way and go somewhere else, and only to see another mirror that's reflecting back the same thing. So understand how insane that would be. And there's no different with trying to take action to change the way you feel. It kind of goes hand in hand. And we understand that when we look in the mirror and we want to change something, we have to do something about changing our self. And we're going to use our body, for example, since that's what so many people think they are. We try going to the gym and exercising and changing what this body appears like to be happy with the reflection in the mirror. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but be happy all the time, regardless of how your body looks. And being happy with how you look right now will actually be a factor that helps your body form itself into the way that you desire. Sounds crazy. I know, but I promise you that your inner state is really causing everything you see. And whenever you purify that, then you will begin to love the results that you see. So just remember that going and breaking the mirror is not going to change the appearance. And taking action out there trying to change people or things is not going to change our inner state. It's actually very vice versa. Our inner state is going to change, one, our perception of what we're viewing, but two, it is also going to change what we see going on out there. Different people will come around because of what we are vibrating, and we are going to attract people on that same energy level, if you want to call it that, use that terminology. But it's really just cause and effect. What the law of attraction is basically cause and effect. There's a lot of different ways to say it, but long story short, the truth is that me and you have more power than we've known, and we've been creating all the circumstances that we are unhappy about our whole life unknowingly. And now we are being made aware that we are the ones who have the opportunity right now and always have to think beautiful thoughts, think thoughts that are normal to us, because me and you are beautiful creatures. We are beautiful eternal beings, and when we think naturally, then we will start having things like that to observe as well. And it just becomes easy, because now, once your world and your mind is purified and everything in your world you are seeing is reflecting that, now you can be an observer, because you're only observing beautiful things and good things, and that's just going to continue to perpetuate itself. So the hardest part, if we want to call it hard, it's just going to take repetition, is what I'm really trying to say. But the most challenging part of this whole journey is getting out of the habit of thinking thoughts that are pointless, that are illusions, that are recycled from years ago, and being stuck in the past, in the now, but being preoccupied with the past, changing those habits and learning what we're learning right now for the past 30 days and for the next couple hundred days, and perpetuating that thought system so much that we strengthen that neural pathway and those beliefs in our mind, and we're building a solid foundation and solid highway in our minds, so that way every time we drive across these highways, it gets easier and easier and easier until they become unbreakable, because we've thought these thoughts so much that those beliefs are just going nowhere. And it it kind of works opposite as well for people who are thinking thoughts that are not serving them. They've thought those thoughts so long that those beliefs are not going nowhere, although they could with willingness. But most most of the times, if somebody's not in the state of mind or vibrational frequency of understanding the things that me and you are discussing right now, they could hear me talk, but they're not going to feel the words, and they're not going to receive, most importantly, the intention behind the words that I'm speaking, and that the intention behind the words that the course is offering to us, that they are not going to be able to, it's not going to click for them because of the beliefs they hold so tightly and strongly. They can't receive information all the way up here when their set point is down here. So that's what teachers are for. There's teachers up here on this level, like myself and like the course, and there's teachers in every single point on that scale. It's continuity. So this person down here, if willing to improve, is going to attract the teacher on this level of understanding, and they are going to help lift them up and then lift them up, and only then, whenever they get to the vibrational vicinity of this area, can they be lifted up. And that's what we have to understand, is kind of to understand, where are we at right now? Does this information sound like something really far-fetched and woo-woo and sounds nice and conceptual, or is it to the point where we've internalized this and we understand that this is truth, and we've seen the evidence of it in our own lives, and we see the evidence happening in other people's lives as well, and we see that this is how the universe operates, and then we are deliberately choosing to apply this in our lives. So that's there's there's levels to this, and there is no limit. Like, I may be right here today, and me and you both may be right here today compared to where we were previously, but at the end of these lessons, and we are going to be from right here to up here now, because we are always expanding. Me and you are expansive. We are always expanding. Me and you are on the leading edge of thought here in these bodies. We are having the opportunity to experience contrast in this world that appears to be separate from God and separate from its source. And because it appears that way in this illusion, very consistent illusion, we have experiences that cause us to desire more. Whenever we are in our natural state of being, which is out of these bodies, and we are in the pureness of just love and light, and we are not focused physically, then we can't live any contrast because of the perfection that will help us expand and evolve. So because me and you have extended ourselves here in these bodies, and we are living contrast and understanding that there's things we don't want, and then from that standpoint giving birth to a new desire of something greater than that, we have just caused ourselves and the entire universe to expand with us, because me and you are literally on the front line. We are on the, I don't want to call it battlefield, but we're going to say battlefield. Me and you are living this contrast, expanding for all that is, and then being receivers of what we have given birth to. All those desires that you have had your entire life, are you being the glad receiver of them, or have you been holding yourself out of alignment with those desires? Now, we're going to talk more about that, because that's more on the creation side of things. We're not really talking too much about creation just yet, because we still have a perception that needs to be healed, and we need to learn truth before we begin to create. Because what happens with most people is that we begin to think deliberate thoughts and create, but we are doing it out of lack, because we're trying to make something happen, and creation just gets hindered by that process. But whenever we go through the first half of this course and we release everything that we once knew, and then the second half of the course we regain true perception and knowledge, only then will we be in the place to finally create like we intended to. And I promise, me and you are both going to create and live our wildest dreams and desires, and we are going to do it effortlessly, because we know who we are, what we are, the power that lies within us, and we know how the creative process works. So I look forward to that day, but for now, let's go ahead and stick to what we're learning, and we'll take it step by step. As you survey your inner world, merely let whatever thoughts cross your mind come into your awareness, each to be considered any kind of hierarchy among them. My bad. Each to be considered for a moment and then replaced by the next. Try not to establish any kind of hierarchy among them. Watch them come and go as dispassionately as possible. Do not dwell on any one in particular, but try to let them stream, move on, and even move on evenly and calmly without any special investment on your part. As you sit and quietly watch your thoughts, repeat today's idea to yourself as often as you care to, but with no sense of hurry. So basically, it's just stating today, as we're doing our practice periods, whenever you're closing your eyes and you are watching your thoughts and observing what comes up as you're repeating the statement, I am not the victim of the world I see. Don't try to choose any in particular, or don't try to push one away because you don't want to think about it because you're too attached to that thought. Just let them flow like a river. And this work right here, most people don't want to do because most people are still identifying themselves with the ego, and the ego does not like what we have been discussing for the past month because it is just so it is such a threat to the ego. Because right now, me and you in our egoless state right now, and we are back to our normal state, which is enlightenment and love. There is no sign of ego in me right now. I could promise that. And I'm sure that there's no sign of ego in you right now. And you'll know if there is whenever you feel like you're judging. So just keep an eye on that and ask yourself, am I thinking in this moment with the ego? Am I identifying myself with the ego? Or am I identifying myself with the Holy Spirit? Am I thinking along the lines that God has set forth and knows to be and created? And you'll know by the way you feel. So people with their egos active right now will not like this, and that's why they won't come across this video. But when they're ready, this will be here for them to learn with no sense of judgment. We're not judging those people because we are them from time to time too when that ego takes over. But just understand that if you do feel tension at any point in time with any of these lessons, it's because of the ego not wanting you to understand this information and knowledge, because if you do, that means that it's bye-bye to the ego. So just keep that in mind. In addition, repeat the idea for today as often as possible during the day. Remind yourself that you are making a declaration of independence in the name of your own freedom. And in your freedom lies the freedom of the world. That's also very powerful. In your freedom lies the freedom of the world. And let's talk about this real quick before we conclude today's lesson. Your freedom lies the freedom of the world. Here's why. So we're going to use you for example, okay? So let's take you. You are a child of God. You are love and light like everyone is in this world, but everyone is asleep to that fact right now, identifying themselves with the ego, thinking that they're capable of being attacked. Therefore, they think that attack is a valuable way of going about things because they believe they're a victim. So there's just so much attack. There's so much fear, worry, doubt going on out there. But because you who are enlightened, meaning you have reawoken to the fact of who you really are, and you know that, and you are walking from that state of enlightenment, and you have true perception and true vision now you hold no one shackled to the chains because you've forgiven everybody. And we're going to talk more about forgiveness as the lessons go on, but let's just say from right now, okay? You have forgiven everybody who's ever done you wrong. You've forgiven family, friends, loved ones. You've forgiven yourself, most importantly. And now whenever you're in contact with any other reflection of you, meaning any other person, any other child of the same source that me and you are from, whenever you see any person in this world, you will only be reflecting that love to them and reminding them of who they really are too, which is why your freedom is in your freedom lies the freedom of the world. So you're letting everybody free. If I had a grudge against you, I was holding a grudge against you and you were holding a grudge against me and you are both shackled to each other, so to speak, and we are both keeping ourselves in a prison that we made because we believe that evil lies in you and you believe evil lies in me, in a child of God. Therefore, I don't see you for who you truly are, and you don't see me for who I truly am. And because of that, I can't see myself for who I truly am, and you can't see yourself for who you truly are. Therefore, we are both not going on anywhere. We could be the happiest people in the world, but whenever we think of each other, we're going to not be free. Therefore, we're not really free at all, because there are no small upsets. All upsets are equally disturbing to my peace of mind. So you could have forgiven the whole world, but if you hold one problem still with me, or if I hold one problem with you, then that small upset is disturbing to my peace of mind. Therefore, I don't have peace of mind, because although everything else is working perfect, this one small upset, whenever I think of you, is causing me to fall back asleep. But let's just say you've done these lessons, you've done your work, and your internal state is now purified, and you have became whole again. You are free now from me. So although whenever I see you and I'm still holding a grudge against you, and you look at me with love in your eyes, just smiling and understanding that I am asleep in that moment and I don't know who I am, and you set yourself free, you also set me free as well, because now, whether I want to believe it or not, I feel subconsciously that that chain is no longer there. I feel good because I know that you're not going to come attack me when I least expect it. I know that you're not doing anything to get back at me. I know that you are in your own world right now, living your life, and you have let yourself free. And now one of two things could happen here. Either I'm identifying with the ego, and that makes me envious because I see how happy and free you are, and I'm not, and I haven't let go and forgiven you or myself. Or two, you, and this is what happens most of all, is now that I see that you're free and you let yourself go, I just step away from the problem, and I forgive it, and it just dissipates because you let it go. Therefore, you're allowing me the space to let it go as well. So that's what's happening. That's the reason why your freedom and my freedom lies the freedom of the world, because we have released everyone from guilt. And that's just such a good feeling, because now you could be freely open with everybody you come in contact with, including yourself, most importantly, and you're not afraid what will come up, because you have returned to true knowledge of who you really are, and only then can we fully create beyond our wildest dreams. So let's finish this up right here, okay? The idea for today is also a particularly useful one to use as a response to any form of temptation that may arise. It is a declaration that you will not yield to it and put yourself in bondage. We will not put ourselves in bondage. We bond ourselves whenever we see something that we think is wrong, and we don't just let it be. Our perception that something is wrong is the sign that we have bondage within us, because me and you, light that is free, eternally free, having bondage towards something, feeling like something is harming us, something outside of us is affecting our internal state, we are bonded. We are basically chained and shackled to that situation, and as we go on, we're going to learn forgiveness and how it works and what it is, and we are going to understand that there is really nothing to forgive but our own illusions of people and of ourselves. So just understand that this is all going to become more and more and more easy as we learn. Even if you're at the top right now, enlightened, and this seems like you get it, it is going to become even more easier, more of a belief, and soon we will no longer need this powerful book right here, because we will have reawakened to that constant 24/7 always present direct communication with God. And that is just the most precious gift that me and you could ever ask for in this world. So let's go ahead and take the time of the day individually to reread this lesson, apply the lessons together as it states, and I will catch you again tomorrow for lesson 32.